Estás al aire.
Bienvenidos amigas y amigos a su programa de RDA Show, donde estaremos hablando de todos los mitos acerca de la defensa personal y la seguridad en América. Con nosotros, como siempre, tenemos a Damian James. Hello, Damian.
What's up? Hello, Tony.
Hey, everything's good, right?
Everything's fine.
Excellent,
Besides
excellent.
this pandemic we're going through.
Yeah, there's crazy things with the technology right now, though. So everybody's in different places doing the show. Also, but we right now we are here, so let's find out the way to do the show the best way we can. Do the everybody's in different places. Also, we have Marcos Diaz with us. He's actually on traffic, but thanks to the technology, we're gonna be able to, you know, keep it on the show. And Marco, how's everything?
Todo está bien, gracias. ¿Cómo están por allá?
Hola,
Excelente, excelente, excelente. Empezando el show.
dime.
Y
Qué bueno.
tenemos dos invitados
Te
premium,
oigo.
como siempre. Tenemos dos invitados premium. A
Aló,
Jason
ya va.
Rodríguez. Jason, esta
Sir.
vez si tiene tu nombre bien, ¿verdad?
Yes, everything is well, man. Thank you. How
Yeah,
about you
thank
guys?
Everything's good. Jason es experto e instructor en todo lo que es defensa personal, y ustedes lo escucharon la vez pasada cuando habló acerca de todos los seminarios que hace, programas que tiene para entrenamiento, civiles, policías, militares, todo basado en más de 25 años de experiencia que tiene. Y también tenemos ahora otro invitado que es Steve Adub. Él es el CEO de Phaser. Steve, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, Tony. How are you?
Excellent. Can you tell us a little bit about you?
Well, I've been developing development and design and distribution manufacture of conductive energy weapons, various body-worn camera type systems, conductive energy weapon ammunition and accessories, holsters and such for the better part of the last 10, 12 years.
The reason why I believe that your key on this program is because between you and Jason, we can help people to get approaching to a different kind of defense, like non-lethal weapons. And Jason, I would like you to talk about the situation right now, basing your experience, how's everything, how's going on, and your recommendations.
Well, right now we're dealing with a strange crisis where it's hard to pinpoint who the enemy is, the bad guy, the adversary, the threat. And on all levels, people are trying to manage the fear that they're dealing with. On a personal level, governmental levels, corporate levels, family levels. So on all the ranges and all the categories, people are trying to troubleshoot the best that they can, but they're defending themselves from an enemy they cannot see, which is strange. But there are a lot of lessons to be picked up from what's happening, and I can't wait to get back into the laboratory, back to the gym, so that we can shed some light on some of those things. Unfortunately, right now we're doing it isolated from each other. So that's the beauty about this program, is that we can try to provide some tips and information when it comes to personal defense in dealing with this strange threat that we're dealing with, and how to manage ourselves while in public and with our families. So hopefully we can share some tips and see some successes through that.
Damian,
Yes, Tony.
based on what the president, I mean, not the president, but I've been looking at the news, and they're expecting that it's going to be people, now that they are insulated on their houses, there's going to be more cases of family abuse, how you call this?
Domestic violence.
Domestic violence. Well, I mean, Jason would be better to talk about that, but I mean, with people you got to realize when you're in home and you have problems, and you can't walk away from those problems. Those problems, you tend to throw gas on the fire. You know, usually you have a problem or you get into an argument with a loved one, you can just walk away, leave the house, get some fresh air. They're saying, okay, when you can't get that fresh air or things like that, that's gonna make things like that rise. You know, they're saying
right now our commitment with the people that are listening to us is giving some recommendations, and based on the domestic violence, people are gonna get upset. People with problems also. I heard that the expecting that the suicide rates are gonna increase, and all the problems that involve the matter to be insulated in basically a cage. So how to avoid that is the question. And
you got to stay inside. It's only one way. You got to stay inside. Like Jason said it before. You're dealing with a threat that you don't know, that you can't see, that you can't prepare for. All you can do is try to stay away from it right now, because you go outside and you don't know who has it. You don't know who has this virus. So you don't know who to avoid. You don't know how to deal with it. You're trying to stay away from everybody. Give everybody 6 feet.
Steve.
Yeah.
What do you think about the situation that we're facing right now?
You know, I've got my pessimistic views on it, but from a safety standpoint, and you know, to err on the side of caution, okay, is probably the best advice. Just because we don't know, you know, we don't really know. The number of deaths, the number of cases is minimal compared to, you know, I mean, even drunk driving deaths or auto accident deaths or just the common flu. I mean, you know, the statistics, you know, I've just never seen anything like this take place in America. And I think that, well, it's concerning for a lot of reasons, because we were sporting the world's strongest economy there for a while, with Trump leading the way there. Strongest stock market I've ever seen, and I've been trading the market for, you know, 35 so years, 40 years. But you know, this took the wind out of the economy. It took the unemployment rate from, you know, what's been a low of 2%. This you know, it's the lowest in 50 years, and the lowest since they started calculating it for the minority, for the minorities, you know, especially the Hispanics and the blacks. So, you know, there's been some good stuff happen with the economy. This is really, you know, shut everything down like this is an economic disaster. It's something possibly that had to be done. You know, my thoughts are that possibly, you know, there's some other underhanded things going on. You know, it's starting in China out there. You know, with the trade deal that was made with China and the U.S. You know, maybe China didn't like it so much. Maybe this thing has been planned out. I find it awfully conspicuous that, you know, there's no new cases in China all of a sudden. So, you know, did they always have a vaccine? Did they always have a cure? And this was a biological, you know, weapon. I mean, who knows? Yeah. You know, it's
like we're saying, the president's recall is the invisible threat. So we don't really know who is it and where it started. And then, Marcos, I know that you're on your way, but now that you see you're on the street, how do you look the streets? It's empty, like the people are getting the mayor recommendation not to go. Oh, you're already in home.
I'm just getting back in home, but traffic is lighter than normal, but you can see still a lot of people going out. There's people moving, buses still working almost normal. I see traffic. I usually take 30 minutes, 35 minutes. Today, I would take like 20 minutes. So traffic has been almost like a weekend. They said we have to avoid people, we have to avoid to going into crowds, we need to take distance, but most of the people are not doing that. I drive by, it was kind of a park. It wasn't like a park, but it was made like that. And I saw like a group of 20 people playing basketball. It's like...
Unbelievable. Jason,
yeah.
Do you think that people are not understanding the threat? They don't understanding the real situation. They seeing. I don't understand why. I still see people out there and not following the recommendations.
One of the things I want to do is I want to go back to something that Damien said earlier, and something that's in line with what we teach when we're training. You guys know that. And there's the 3 A's that we look at. One is awareness. So we're doing the best that we can to be aware. The internet, the television, the radio, programs like this, they're giving us the information to be aware about what's happening and how to prepare for cover, for protection. But the second thing we need to look at is avoiding. Evading the problem. Okay, that's going to be the second A, which is avoidance. And so many of there aren't a lot, because I'm in the street regularly because of some other things that I need to do throughout the day. And what I'm seeing is there's a lot less human traffic out on the streets. There's still a lot of people that aren't following the rules on all the guidelines. But something that we need to be aware of is we don't know the purpose of them being out in the streets. Some of them may be officials, some of them may be delivery people, serving the community in some capacity. So we see them, we have to understand, okay, well, maybe they're contributing to the services that everybody else needs, because somebody has to be out there. The people in the park that Marco was talking about earlier, you know how it works. There's always going to be people that are going to dismiss the warnings. They have their own opinions. Maybe they're misinformed, and they're going to do their thing. And then you have an action plan, which is A, number 3. And that's what we're doing here. That's what we do, and that's what we need to concentrate on. How to become most aware, how to develop avoidance plans, and then what type of action you're going to take to follow up on that information that you have. But I want to go over to what our other guests said, which is circumstances that are out of our control. There's a variety of different things that could be going on behind the scenes. That's one choice, one perspective. The other thing is, man, these are a lot of coincidences, which makes it hard to believe that these things aren't, there isn't an overall movement to getting these things executed, right? Mm-hmm. So with those things going on, either one of those cases we don't have control of. The only thing that we're going to have control of is what we do and how we respond to what we're seeing day to day. So that's going to lead me to my first point. We have to concentrate on de-escalation. That has to be the number one thing we have to pursue. At home, with our neighbors. Maybe some of you are dealing with work, our co-workers, people in the community that we may come across. So start to think about how to mitigate, how to manage any possible confrontation if it's presented to you. If you can avoid it, avoid it. If you can evade, do that as well. And obviously keep yourself aware. but think about de-escalation before they initiate. That way we can keep things under control, we can manage, we can mitigate, because that's going to be the lesser problem.
Right.
If things escalate, we'll talk about those things in a second. But before we do that, one of our guests is a electronic control device distributor, manufacturer, operator. Those things are a big deal, because what we're seeing is a lot of people running out to buy guns and ammo. I heard an interview yesterday where people running into gun shops and just ordering anything. They will walk up to the counter and say, I don't care what that gun is, I want that one. And I want as many rounds as I can purchase. The problem is that we're preparing ourselves with equipment that there are consequences for dealing with that. And one of the cool things is our less lethal. There's non-lethal, less lethal. Right now, the consensus is they're considered less lethal weapons.
Right.
Their intention isn't to be lethal, but sometimes they end up, leading to maybe secondary injuries or unintended results because we're using these devices. But the intention is that they're less lethal. And so what we need to do is, if we're going to opt for those as tools to mitigate whatever problem we might have, learn how to use them. And that's going to go back to the 3A's again. Find yourself somewhere where you can train once things get back to normal, or start to do some research on your own. That's what this program is for.
Yeah, we're hungry to wait until you start the program again, because we love to train with you.
Yeah, I'm going through withdrawals.
Yeah, is any way that we can do training like this with Zoom or something like that? Because we don't want to miss any training.
Yeah, I'm going through withdrawals, Jason. I'm going through withdrawals.
Me too. On my cell phone, I have an alarm that I have set up every Tuesday to remind me, as soon as I get home, prepare, and that way, I can do my thing. So yeah, I'm having withdrawals, and I miss you guys, and I can't wait to get back in there and do our thing. But this is the best we can do for now. And again, it's my privilege to participate in this. Tony, thank you. Daniel, Marco, thank you, and our guest as well. Thanks for allowing me to participate.
It's our pleasure too. And Steve, based on what Jason is talking about, that is another tool, because like the previous program, we were talking about so many people buying guns, they're not prepared. So the consequences on using a regular gun are more dangerous than using something to prevent it. Can you tell us a little bit about the phases so our audience can understand a little bit more and how they can use those devices instead? For example, for those first-time owners, I recommend something less lethal.
I don't think you can have too many weapons. I'm an advocate of the Second Amendment, gun rights and everything else. And I think that, the Constitution wrote that in as a Second Amendment for, a strong purpose. You're not just defending yourself and your family, but to be able to rise up against a oppressive government, period. So I think you got to have all levels of force, because in certain situations and circumstances where you don't want to take you shouldn't take a life. Let's just call it what it is. You alternatives to those more lethal means of defense are good to have as a secondary fallback. I mean, obviously, if somebody's running into your house with an axe or something, forget about anything other than a firearm. But in a lot of situations where, just aiming the laser at somebody by activating the weapon. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yeah, we can see the laser.
Many people are listening to us by radio through the Pangea FM platform, but we also have the podcast. So I recommend that whoever is listening, go to the Pangea FM, to the YouTube channel or Instagram, Pangea FM, and their platform, and they're gonna be seeing your demo that you're doing. But while you're doing, trying to explain for those listeners.
Yeah, the Phaser Enforcer is our flagship product. we've had it out. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, you see that? All right.
Yes, we can
Yeah,
see
yeah,
it.
we can see it.
All right. This is a conductive energy weapon that was designed primarily for law enforcement, security. We do sell them as well to civilians in the private sector. Now, it was designed with simplicity of use in mind. It's got it's a very simple weapon to operate. It's an ambidextrous operation as well, so one hand can operate it. There's an LED light that's 160 lumen that's activated with your index finger. The rear has a safety switch on it that when you activate, it powers up the unit. There's a green light that shows to show that it's active, and it's got a good battery charge. It's got a laser sight for aiming, which is center body mass point of aim. It's got a built-in safety circuit, unlike the taser weapons, which when you hold the trigger in on this weapon, it's going to shut down after 5 seconds. You can do that
Right.
3 pulse trains of 5-second intervals for a total of 15 seconds. The reason we set it at 15 seconds was most of the key medical studies, especially on the scene, like the American Academy of Emergency Medicine, of course, the Heart Association, the Justice Department did, in-depth studies as well. And they came up with what's known as the 15-second rule. So you shouldn't expose the human body to these circuits for more than 15 seconds over a 24-hour period. So we built the weapon so that you can't hold the trigger in until, perpetually, to where it just keeps running and running. I think in the taser training, at least initially, they were holding the trigger in and they were trained to hold the trigger in, but the weapon more or less is fundamentally flawed by design, because if the medical studies are calling for, a 15-second max, and you're getting trained, out of your academy or wherever under a training program with a weapon that you can hold that trigger in until the battery dies or who you're shooting dies, overexposure becomes a major problem. Especially when you have 1,100 deaths in the past that are attributable to overexposure for the most part. So it shuts down completely after 15 seconds, and all you got to do is recycle the safety. So it doesn't take the control away from the operator of the weapon, but it does give them a mental awareness that they put 15 seconds. So if they recycle that safety and pull the trigger 3 more times or 1 more time, and something happens, where perhaps the overexposure causes death or something, then you've got a situation where you have to justify the additional force used. That's all. If you can justify it, there's no issues with that. If you can't, well, then you're on your own, because it's not what we teach in our training program, and it is a good solution to dealing with issues or defense using a non-lethal means. And we have 0 deaths on record after 10 years since we introduced the Phaser Enforcer, which kind of speaks for itself.
Oh, that's great. That's great, because it talks a lot about the safety on using the Phaser.
The output on these weapons is similar to the competition. We are the only surviving competitor of Taser due to a series of lawsuits, but the brand, the Phaser brand still exists. We're in 27 different countries. We relaunched in the United States 4th quarter last year. We've got some new weapon systems coming out. They put out this weapon here, this Phaser Enforcer, puts out about 55,000 volts at about 2.4 milliamps of amperage. The pulse rate is about 24 pulses per second, so it never gives your muscles an opportunity to expand or contract. So they're just locked in place, and it disrupts the mind's ability to send a signal to any of your limbs or anything to move them. So before the signal can get from your brain to your thumb, for example, to bend your thumb, it bounces back. So it truly is a very effective means of self-defense. And the taser products are very effective as well, you know, as long as you hit with both darts to make the connection to complete the circuit.
Okay. That's great. And also, I have one with me, which is feels very nice. Great, it's amazing. Uh, I thought that you're gonna give us a demo.
Yeah, I can give you a demo here. On the face of the cartridge, you can see there's a metal plate. That is we call it the static guard. What it does is it eliminates any charge from going through that weapon and through that cartridge. If you activate it, pull the trigger, for example, you can hear it clicking, which means it's activated, but it won't pop off, and there's no charge coming through there. That neutralizes it completely. It was designed primarily because of the transportation issues with, you know, a nitrogen container and a squib, which is used to drive the nitrogen container into the puncture pin to release the nitrogen and propel the darts out. But that has to be removed prior to deploying this thing. You just pop it off on each side, and then you have a fully functional weapon now. Now, I'm going to try and do this from an angle here. I'm going to turn the taser LED light on, so you should be able to see pretty well can you see the target?
Yes.
Yes.
Activate the laser. You've got a center body mass would be right there. Okay.
The lens is being covered
With his finger.
Yeah, the finger.
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. So the darts, let me pluck this out here. These darts are, let me see if I can turn this camera around here so I can show you. They're hooked and barbed, so they're going to stick in whatever they're shot at. The pin is almost a ½ inch. It's just slightly under a ½ inch, about 7/16, I believe, or maybe even a 32nd above that. But it's got the needle. It's got the like a fish hook barb on it. So no matter what you shoot it into, it's going to stick in. Clothing, leather, you know, even Kevlar bulletproof vest, and it'll equalize about a quarter inch of Kevlar as well. Now the darts, if they don't go into the muscle, they will jump across. They'll jump across the. Oops, I got to change that camera here. Yeah, the darts will jump across. The current will jump across the air gap, so about roughly 3/4 of an inch. So if one dart is farther away from the skin, it'll still connect as long as it's close enough. So, but it's a very effective tool. It's used by law enforcement all over the world, used by security guys as well.
Do you recommend this product for civilians also, so that way they don't have to go further in the defense?
I would recommend this product to anyone that wants to protect themselves and their family. I mean, it's a great alternative with limited liability because you don't have to measure a whole lot of force. You know, if a woman's walking to her car in the parking lot and somebody starts coming up, she warns them. She aims it at them. If they keep coming at her, it's better to err on the side of caution. You're not going to take their life. So if you have to use it, you can. And you know, a lot of women. I'm not saying all women, because some of them can be pretty tough. But you know, a lot of them don't like firearms. At least from my experience in talking with them. But as an alternative, it's a great alternative, and it gives them a level of.
You know that I always used to have a one stun gun with me, just in case that something is like, you know, I don't need to use lethal force.
Right.
But now I can you know, and carry this one too, because I believe that is a good idea. What do you think, Jason? I want to hear Jason's opinion, Damian's opinion, and Marcus' opinion, which is it's going to give us a wide a range of opinions and get it into a conclusion.
Yeah. I like the drive stun feature on some of the electronic control devices or the energy control weapons. So I like that feature that where you have the option to remove the cartridge instead of deploying the darts. But you know, a lot of times that has to do with the preference of the user. Some will tell you never remove the cartridge and always deploy. You know, that's going to be their preference. When we're training, I'm training to maximize, to optimize your performance with both. You may have a deployment where you deploy the darts, and then you have to switch over to a drive stun to optimize the function on the body. You know, where we're doing probe, spread, and Steve will know what I'm talking about when it comes to those things. Sometimes you're going to have the drive stun is going to be a better option, or you may have a malfunction between changing cartridges. You may have, he spoke about a squib cartridge or a malfunctioning cartridge. You may be forced to do the drive stun. So for those that are not comfortable with being close to an attacker, an offender, a bad guy, in training, you're going to need to overcome that. And these are the things that, from my experience as an operator with electronic control weapons, energy control devices, or whatever we're calling these less lethal weapons, you're gonna have to be ready to use them in any category. For example, most of these devices the training involves standing up and shooting. Well, what happens if I need to do it while I'm on my back? What happens if I need to do it with my reactionary hand? What happens if I'm protecting my loved one? What happens if I'm using the element of surprise? So all these things have to be included in your training, so that way this becomes a tool, not a weapon that can be used against you. You need to talk about weapon retention and disarming. And you know, those are the good things, but the tool is amazing. And you know, that less lethal option is always wise when it comes to defending yourself, protecting your loved ones, and securing your property. You have to be ready and prepared to use it.
Yeah.
Damian, tell me what's your opinion?
I mean, my opinion, I like it. I really did. I like the way it feels. I also like the feature that you can use. It has the cartridge with the pepper balls. Am I correct?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool too. Where even if you have somebody that doesn't want to use it with the electronic cartridge, you can use a pepper ball cartridge. So you got multiple ways to use it to defend yourself with something that's less lethal.
Right, exactly, yeah. So you don't have to risk anything if it's not necessary. It
Correct.
depends, like Jason said. Judgment is gonna play a key on the decision what you're gonna use or not, what type of force you're gonna, but it's gonna happen in milliseconds, so you have to be trained. So Jason, we're waiting for you to start training. Marcos, now, I just wanted to hear your opinion too.
I think that's a very good option, but then again, as we always said, we need to be responsible with it. Even if it's not a firearm, we're shooting electricity. So we need to be trained with that before using it. Even if it's not gonna go way farther as a bullet will go, we need to be responsible when we aim, what we aim, what's between what we want to hit and what we do not want to hit. I think it's very nice that pepper ball. I didn't know they can shoot a pepper ball.
Yeah, it does.
Yes, it shoots pepper balls too, and it creates, that anxiety on the eyes and irritation.
I have a question.
It's time to thank you. Before you continue, Jason, it's time to say thank you to CTU Federal Academy, which is sponsoring this program. Also, iProtect, which is Jason's academy.
I Protect USA. I Protect USA.
Exactly.
Thank you, Mr. Yates.
And Jason Rodriguez, remember. And to Phaser, which is giving us important information about these devices. And of course, Pangea FM, which is allow us to go through the all the media and platforms that is being seen around the world. Go ahead, Jason. You've been saying.
This question is for Steve about the training cartridges. Do you provide inert cartridges for training?
We do. We do have it's a blue Blastor. It's 21 foot. It uses like a fishing line. The probes have a shorter pin as well. Now it doesn't conduct any electricity because it's using fishing line rather than the conductive wire. But yeah, and that's used to line up your point of aim, so you're familiar with where the darts are going to land when you shoot a target primarily. And we recommend that you blow off a couple of those before you do a live deployment into the human body, just so you know where your darts are going to line up. But yeah, we do provide those. The pepper powder cartridge is an exceptional round. It's used in like an automobile extraction. It's a perfect use for it. It's a 5-foot cloud, comes out in a intense pepper dust. It's about it's ghost pepper. It's about 80. It's pretty powerful. I mean, it'll clear that car out in 5 seconds. A cell extraction in a jail, or multiple targets at close range. And the drive stun feature can be used at any time. Even after you deploy the darts or any of the other rounds, you can still use the weapon as a drive stun feature. So if you got two guys running at you, you shoot the bigger guy with the darts, obviously. He goes down, it'll still be going in him while the other guy's running up on you. And I always recommend you go high with your arm into the upper body and you drive it right into their hip. And it'll drive them straight down to the ground, despite size.
Steve, I believe that we have to do a demo with Jason so he understands. He can also promote with his students.
Yeah, it's Jason's turn to be shot.
Yeah, I want to be shot, Jason.
Everybody's got to be shot. Come on, it's good. It's good. It's good experience. It's 5 seconds. It seems like an eternity for those 5 seconds, but it's only 5 seconds. And if you don't want to get shot with the darts, you can always do the phaser challenge.
What's the phaser challenge?
Well, yeah, I got to hear this one.
The phaser challenge is we put something of value that you want, whether it be a couple $100 or whatever, on the table in front of you. We connect up the alligator clips, which I've got a
this one, right?
Clips,
no.
They clip onto the clothing, and then
this one, right?
You actually, yeah, that's it right there. You put that, insert that into the gun, and then you clip the clips on them, and then you take the gun yourself. Okay, you activate it. Okay, with the laser. Okay, and then you pull the trigger. And I know that sounds a little bit mean there, but you pull the trigger, and then you grab the grip, you pull the trigger, and then you can lift your thumb up and deactivate it. Now, if you can do that before the 5 seconds automatically shuts it off, you've won a prize. If you can't, well, maybe we'll take you to dinner or something.
Wow, so we get to shock ourselves.
Steve, something like this?
And you've got all the desire in the world to shut it down. So if you can do it, then more power to you. But if you can't do it, it'll sure make a believer out of you, and you won't forget our name.
Okay, right? I have the alligators on me, but if you really think I'm gonna do it now, you're not thinking right.
I was gonna say that's a brave move, especially without.
But I'm gonna take the challenge.
The Tony Nader. About to Tony Nate himself.
Well, we have to try. We need to, and especially, I believe that the face a challenge is a good idea. What do you think, Jason? Are you ready to do it?
Well, let me put it this way. For the sake of time, there are a lot of questions and comments I have for Steve, but I think we'll be addressing some of those when we have more time.
Yeah.
And also, I'm gonna invite Steve to your class, so he can evaluate also what you do.
I'm excited. And Steve, I know we're just meeting for the first time here. It's my privilege. But we need to get together. There's a lot of stuff that we need to talk about.
Absolutely, and we'll get you on the right training course and get you certifying guys down there.
Okay, great.
And something that I love is like I always Marcos is talking responsible. When we do the program, we found people like Jason, Steve, that they thinking about ways to do responsible defense. Because when you're talking about this, is you don't put your family, let's say your wife doesn't like the guns, but she can still be protected with something similar, less lethal or non-lethal, but she's gonna feel more protected than waiting for the husband that probably is not at home when
it gives her an option. It gives her an option.
Exactly.
Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm. And then that's why I believe we have to keep teaching you guys responsible ways to defend yourself. Go to I Protect USA, Phaser.com is the website, Steve?
That's actually, I think, a landing page, but I don't know. I think you got to put it in the URL bar. It won't find it on a Google search, but in the United States, phaserus.com is the website. Internationally, it's phaserglobal.com.
And also the CTU Federal Academy is Phaser distributor, so go to CTU Federal Academy and you will find in a few days the information. Anything else, Jason?
No, I'm excited to see the tool, the device, its options. You can never understate the importance of having less lethal or non-lethal. The kind of the generic term right now is less lethal, but you have to have those options. I mean, there are occasions where you are looking to defend yourself, and if a gun is your only option, you're going to either hesitate and it's going to cause you problems, or you're going to overreact and then you're going to have yourself a new problem. Either way, whether justified or not, you're still going to have to defend yourself when the authorities show up. And if you're not prepared for that, we cover that. You have to cover all these things. You have to cover how to survive this criminally, civilly, administratively, spiritually, physically, psychologically, and you have public opinion. You're gonna have to defend yourself in all those categories. And if you're getting training that just covers the physical component, know that, understand that. But remember, there's an alternative to get this holistic training with us. The name of our program is Unlimited Tactical Solutions. The host is I Protect USA, which I am the lead instructor. And we partner up with CTU, and we have some other instructors that we refer out to for firearms training, which is the host of Responsible Defense Authority, which is Tony, Damien, and Marco. And we're looking forward to doing some things with Steve. I'm super excited.
Yeah, no,
Hey,
I love
every
Steve.
expansion
Hey,
is
listen,
big.
and
Yeah,
we have a
Steve will
bunch of other
be
stuff.
our less lethal option of unlimited tactical solutions.
And you'll save yourself a lot of money if you
Yeah.
buy phaser rather than taser. I can promise you that.
And I also just want to tell you something else, Jason. Steve makes some cool sunglasses that
Oh
can be.
yeah, my glasses. I've been waiting on my glasses, Steve.
I already
Oh,
told him.
I haven't shipped those, but you got to put the order in and then select wire transfer or something, or pick up at the office or something like that, and then I can just ship them down there.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
But I
Oh,
can
yes.
send you a pair of those right now.
Now, you know,
This
the
actually-
hands sometimes get blocked with your hands, but this one, whatever you look, is going to be looking at it. Oh, hey, look at that. Those are the
Oh. The simple activation right here, it initializes. You hold that in for a couple of seconds. This one's dead, but it'll vibrate once when it's activated. There's a slight light that'll blink green every 5 seconds to show that it's operating. It's HD quality video. It's got a hard drive in it that will hold a memory that'll hold about 8 gig. That runs at parity more or less with the battery, the rechargeable battery system, which gives you about an hour and a half of full motion video. And then when it runs out of space on the memory, it'll go to the front, loop around, and go over it. Now, the time and date, for evidence, it's great because you time and date stamp it according to your computer by plugging the glasses in where you charge it as well. But the time and date is just a right click and click on admin, and then time date, and it sets it automatically to whatever your computer is set at. So easy to change, very simple. And they were made with simplicity of use either also.
Yeah, no, amazing product. You have other more that we're gonna be talking about, but we have only 3 more minutes. Marcus, I want you to thanks everybody that we need to thanks, like you always do. Because you're
and this time I'm gonna say it in Spanish because we didn't say anything at all in Spanish. So gracias a I Protect USA, gracias a Phaser, gracias a CU Federal Training Academy. Recuerden, tenemos la primera en South Florida pantalla digital que funciona a través de láser para hacer los entrenamientos. Muy importante, entrenamientos que pueden usarse tanto como de concealed weapon, civilian, police officers, and so many other scenarios that we have to go through and we jump back to English. But gracias a todos otra vez. Stay safe.
Damien.
Yes, sir.
You have 1 minute.
I have 1 minute. Well, I got to give thanks to I Protect USA. That's a big reason that all this came together. So, Jason, I got to give you big ups on that. Phaser, I enjoyed the product. My son is waiting for you to be his distributor of his hand sanitizer. That he's still excited about that.
We're still waiting on the price.
Don't trust me. You get the prices, the materials I can't get a hold of just yet. But as this pandemic calms down, I'll get it. And CTU as well. I mean, I enjoy doing this show every Wednesday, and I'm glad we got to do it again.
Yeah, and I want to say something that this is amazing because talking about all the good things, and the defense, the training, the tips that we can provide to the audience, it makes, as you see, we growing. Like you say, Damien, we start together thanks to Jason, and then we start doing other stuff together, and we start becoming a family. So Steve, welcome to the family.
Thank you very much, Tony.
Many people, many companies, and many training different. For the audience, it has been a pleasure to be here, and thank you everybody to listening. We're gonna be on the show next Wednesday, 8 o'clock. Probably I'm gonna be transmitting from Austin, Texas, where my wife is waiting for me. And thanks my wife for the patience that she got waiting for me so long. I'm gonna miss you, Jason, but you know.
Likewise. Likewise.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you, everybody. Tom, I believe that Tom, creo que llegamos ya al final de nuestro programa. Muchas gracias a todos. Un placer estar con ustedes y nos vemos el próximo miércoles a las 8 de la noche. Gracias, Jason. Gracias, Steve. Gracias, Damien and Marcos. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot.
Remember to
guys.
be responsible.
Yes, sir.
Remember to be responsible.
Stay safe out there, boys.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. Thank you.
As well.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Stay. We off there, Tony?
I don't know.
Tom, where are you, Tom?
That guy's horrible with names.
I think that we did good, man. What do you think, Jason? You like it?
Jason, hold on, Jason. Let me give you the story about the
No!
Ramirez thing. So, you remember when we gave you the gift, the gun, and the certificate,
no
right?
way! Don't say that, man.
So, as we get the gift, you know, we come together. So we say, okay, we're gonna give him a certificate to go with it. So he makes a certificate and everything, and he gives it to me. I take it. I take the certificate and the gift. I say, because I don't want you to forget, Tony. So I'm gonna make sure I have it. I get home.
Oh, wait.
And
Okay.
And the next day I get ready. It says Ramirez. I say, hold on, Tony. What?
We're still alive, you know. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jason. What happened is I have in my contact like Ramirez.
Yeah, that's good, bro. Hey, listen.
Now you're like another person for me. You're Rodriguez now.
Yeah, I'm born again.
All right. Well, so you look very young. Listen, everybody, I believe that it's time to start, you know, signing out. So we finish the program.
Okay. All right, guys. Be good. Be careful.
Same to you, Jason.
Talk again
No,
next week.
you be careful, man. You be careful.
Thanks, guys. Be easy,
All right, man.
Marco, Tony, Damien. Later, guys.
All right,
All right.
man. Have a good one.
You too.